Sabrina, what is the piece of advice that you would share with young professionals in our community?
My advice for young professionals in the Shreveport-Bossier area is get involved. There's so much to do here. If you're coming back from school or if you're just moving here from another area, there are so many opportunities to get involved and to meet people. That's how I was able to find the position that I'm working in right now, was by getting involved with YPI and getting involved with different groups in the community. Everybody here in this community is willing to help you if you're willing to help yourself.
What is something others would not know about you?
A lot of people might not know this about me, but when I was in college, I was on the water ski team, and at one of my first water ski tournaments, one of my friends that was on the team dared me to go off one of the water ski jumps. So I said, okay, I'll do it. How hard can it be? And you can find it on YouTube, but I actually ended up doing a backflip on accident and completely knocked the wind out of myself. I lived, and I can say that I did a water ski jump, but I never did it again.
What is something interesting about yourself?
Another interesting fact about myself is that I come from a family of immigrants. So I'm first generation American. My family came over here from Romania, and it's been really interesting, especially with everything that's going on today, just to be able to relate to what is happening in today's society, with a mother who came here barely knowing any English with her family and one suitcase with 5 people in their family and $20 to their name, and made a life for themselves. And it's pretty cool to be a part of a family like that.
Allie, what are you passionate about?
I'm passionate about our community. I think that our community has so much potential, and I want to see it get better. You know, ever since I was a child, I've lived here my whole life, and I've seen growth, and I'm so passionate about seeing it grow more. You know, that's why I'm involved with the Providence House. I think that the Providence House is doing a great job teaching and giving people in our community that are less fortunate the skills that they need to better themselves and to be productive citizens. And I think having productive citizens is a huge step in growing our community and making it a great place to live and making it somewhere where people want to come back to after they go off to school.
What advice would you have for young professionals?
The most important thing is to network. I mean, I think that is something that, you know, you can never network too much. And, you know, you hear people all the time tell you it's all about who you know. And, you know, in the business world, that is so true. It's all about building those relationships and, you know, maintaining those relationships. And that really is key to having a good and successful career. Another thing that, you know, don't be scared to fail. I mean, I think that if you're scared of failure, you know, you're really not putting yourself out there. And if you don't put yourself out there, you're really not trying hard enough. So if you're not failing at something, you're not trying hard enough. So definitely get out there and try your hardest. And, you know, it's okay if you fail. And if somebody tells you they've never failed at anything, they're lying. The other good thing, I think, is always dress your best. I mean, you know, that is really important. If you feel confident in what you're wearing, you look confident, and it just makes you a better business person, I think.
What advice would you have for other young professionals?
Honestly, my advice for other young professionals would be to slow down and enjoy the process. Anytime we get passionate about a project or our jobs, we want everything to happen now. We want everything to be successful now because we care about it, and that's our babies. But if we really slow down and enjoy the process, we learn much more from it. We learn from our failures, we learn from our small successes, and then when that big success does come, you've learned so much more in the process of if it would have come really early or soon.
What is something interesting about yourself?
Well, interesting about myself, I was born in Belgium, Europe, because my father was in the military, in the army, and I actually was born with a cleft lip and a cleft palate. The doctor told my mother to not expect much from me, And I wouldn't really be outgoing, may not be successful in school, speech impediment, things like that. And that really motivated me. Thank God my mom did not listen and raised me to be very, very strong and outgoing and motivated. And that is something interesting.
What are you passionate about and why?
I am very passionate about helping educators. I really, really like to help them further whatever their dreams are. Sometimes we don't think about educators as being motivated. You know, we think that everyone is kind of happy in their current position, but a lot of educators have big dreams for helping their students, and how they can do that. They just need help to know how to do it, and you know, where to get that help. And that's where I hope my role comes in, is doing a lot of professional development, meeting them where they are and bringing them forward, and really helping them learn what their passions are and how to help their students even more.
What advice would you give other young professionals?
The advice that I have for young professionals is once you find a career path, stick to it, learn all you can, not only to be successful, but make a difference.
What made you decide to go in your career field, and what are you passionate about?
What made me decide to go in my current career field was growing up in an area surrounded by fresh ingredients and having importance of eating a meal at the table. I'm passionate about food because of the change that can make on someone's life.
What civic and nonprofit organizations are you involved in?
Slow Food North Louisiana, of course, Slow Food USA, also a partnership with Shreveport Green. It promotes, from planting trees to school gardens to preparing recipes for the low-income families.
Courtney, what piece of advice would you give other young professionals that are starting their career?
I would tell people that they should not be discouraged by the tasks that are handed down the line to them just because they're new or the youngest member of an organization. Those are oftentimes opportunities to make something that shines and stands out.
Why did you choose your career? What made you decide to go in that particular profession?
Public relations was the natural next step for me in a career of communications. I joined BRF 2 years ago, and I've been thrilled to be a part of a progressive and fast-paced environment, an organization that aims at economic development initiatives that really move the needle and, kind of set the mark for making life better in Shreveport and Bossier and all of Northwest Louisiana. It has been communications is a creative outlet and really satisfies my creativity, and at the same time I get to work on stuff that makes this a better place.
So what are you most passionate about and why?
I'm passionate about being a part of positive social change, whether that's through economic development or socioeconomic development or organizations like YPI. I just like to be a part of whatever group is doing the most good and can make Shreveport Bossier better.
So why did you get involved into YPI, and maybe why should others join?
YPI is my favorite organization. It's the organization to join for young professionals. It is an incredible network of people who have changed my life in personal and professional ways.
So Leanne, as we talk about other young professionals that are starting their career, what advice would you give them?
My best piece of advice is to find a mentor and be a mentor, because you always have something you need to learn, and you also always have something you can teach someone else.
So tell us about your current career path and why it's important to you.
Well, I'm currently the Director of Patron Advancement at the Shreveport Symphony Orchestra, so I oversee all marketing and fundraising efforts. And the arts have always been a central part of my life, so I can't imagine a better way to dedicate my professional career than supporting and advocating professional artists. I also think it's super integral to a healthy community, and I can't imagine working in anything other than the arts.
So, what do you do that you're most passionate about? And tell us why.
Well, I'm obviously super passionate about the arts and the role that they play in our community, but I'm also passionate about building the places in which we want to live, and I think that we all have an obligation to make our home a better place.
Shreveport is such a great community for volunteerism. Tell us about some of the organizations that you're involved in, civic and nonprofit.
Well, I'm currently on the board of directors for the Louisiana Association of Nonprofit Organization. It's a service group that supports nonprofits in the state of Louisiana. One of their most successful programs here in Shreveport is Community Leaders, which educates young professionals on how to be active and successful board members. I also teach Sunday school at my church, All Souls, and I volunteer for various festivals and other, events in town.
Margot, as a role model, what other advice would you give young professionals who are starting their career?
I think the advice I would give to other young professionals, probably a couple of keys that I've walked away from so far in my career. One is get to know your network, whether that network is at your current position or your network of friends or those that you might meet out in the community. You never know who is out there who might really be helpful to the cause that you serve or that next step you want to take on your career path. So get to know people. I also would encourage people to think big. When you're brainstorming for a new initiative or a solution to a big problem, just start big, because if you start at the top, you can whittle it down to something that's manageable and that you can do, and you never know what you'll come up with if you start by thinking big. I think the last thing that has been helpful to me in my career is should always be willing to roll up your sleeves and help with whatever is put out in front of you. Even if it's outside of your job description, get in there, help your colleagues, help the community. You never know what sort of joy you'll get from the experience, the kind of people that you're going to meet, and most of all, the appreciation that others will have that you helped them in their time of need.
What made you decide to get in your current profession?
I would say I didn't really decide to go into my current career field. I think, over the course of my career, I guess unintentionally I spent time collecting the tools and the skills I would need to be successful in this career field. So I worked for a long time in PR and communication, and at one point in my professional career was approached about switching sides, so switching from PR and going into fundraising, which made me nervous, but they said, well, think about it, it's messaging, it's just to a different audience. And so I said, I like a challenge, you're right, I'll do it. And what's really great about philanthropy is the work that you do and the gifts that you secure thanks to that great messaging can really change lives. And so it's been very satisfying since then. I'm hooked. To see the kind of change you can make in the world, in your community, or in the life of a single individual, just by through philanthropy and fundraising.
Constantine, what advice would you give other career professionals?
The advice that I have for young professionals is to do what you feel passionate about, what your heart tells you to do and what you like doing. In that way, like working in the field that you're really passionate about, you'll be able to succeed there and you'll always be happy.
You've had an interesting past. Tell us a little bit about how you ended up working in your current career field.
I was born and raised in Kazakhstan and came to the US to get my education at Louisiana Tech University.
So what are some of the organizations that you're involved in and some that are really true to your heart?
We are involved with Junior Achievement and some other organizations in town like COHAB, but basically I'm personally passionate about startups and business community and innovation and inventorship community in our region, and these are kind of activities and organizations that whose interests align in that field too. I tend to support these kind of organizations.
What advice would you give other professionals that are looking to be a trailblazer such as yourself?
The advice that I give to other young professionals is to seek to be well-rounded, have lots of different experiences, expose yourself to lots of different cultures and people and things, and then take all of those things and try to incorporate them into your life and into your thought processes, and I think everything will just be a little more interesting. And as far as I'm concerned, I think that it also helps with the mundane tasks. It gives kind of those things a purpose and a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel. So,
Okay, what would you say is interesting about yourself?
I don't know if people would find this interesting, but I enjoy cooking and really food. So the whole process, I love getting in the kitchen, looking at a recipe, tweaking it to hopefully make it a little tastier and healthier, chopping and mixing everything up, and then sharing the meal that I've prepared with family and friends, and just being able to come together over something tasty and enjoy each other's company.
So what made you decide to go into law?
I enjoy solving problems and also helping people. And on top of both of those things, I'm also a rule follower, and you can't get many more rules than in the legal profession following the laws. So that is what brought me to go to law school and now to be a lawyer and enjoy a transactional practice.
So what gets you up in the morning? What are you most passionate about?
I am passionate about being a mom. I have 2 young sons, Cook, who's 4, and Whit, who's 18 months, and they are just my world and my husband's world too. And I think it's a big responsibility to be a parent and to show them how much they are loved and cared for and help them grow into the individuals that they are meant to be. And I just think the world of them and of that job as a parent.
Lieutenant Colonel Fish, we're so pleased to have you with us as a part of the military and serving our country. Tell us a little bit more about what you do.
So I'm currently at Barksdale Air Force Base. I'm the commander of the 11th Bomb Squadron, or the B-52 Formal Training Unit.
So why did you decide to go into the military?
So I was young when Top Gun came out. I would sit in the school library as a kid, look at pictures of airplanes, and this was always my dream. Some people wanted to grow up to be professional athletes or actors. I wanted to fly airplanes for the United States Air Force for as long as I can ever remember, and so I'm pretty lucky. I got to live out my dream.
So with all of the time that you have to spend serving the country, tell us something interesting about yourself.
So when people meet me, usually it's in the setting of the military, and I tell them about flying an intercontinental nuclear bomber, but usually what they're surprised by is had I not gone into flying B-52s, my career choice would have been to be a 3rd grade teacher.
What are you passionate about?
What I'm most passionate about is my family. So part of the reason I do this by climbing an airplane and go to the far reach of the world is to make sure my family's safe. Or sometimes I sneak out of work early and go home just to spend some time with them. But in addition to my blood family, it's my Air Force family. We come from all walks of life, all over the world. We come together, and those people really become like your blood family. I think I spend more holidays with some of them than I have with people I'm actually related to. So they're quite a great group of people to just spend time with.
So as you look back over your career, and there are so many people that aspire to be where you are, what advice would you give those other young professionals?
My best advice is when you're in a leadership position, the most important thing you have to do is care for your people. You care for them first, you give them your vision, and then you get out of their way. And you get pretty amazed at what they come back with the results. So.